We're in the middle of the sugya of Emes for Sheker. Yesterday, we started with an introduction into the Maila of Emes and how important Emes is for your life, okay? And how bad it is to have Sheker, which is why it's important for a person to realize. We said that one of the things that the world stands on is Emes. The Chasima, the signature, Ali, of the Rabbeinu Shalom is Emes. We even said as well the Gemara in Sanhedrin, where the Gemara in Sanhedrin says that there are three groups of people that the Rabbeinu Shalom doesn't have the Shechina over, and one of them are people that are liars. Okay? So if a person is a liar, what exactly is the definition of a liar? Maybe we'll talk about, maybe we won't, but I'm sure people can. In fact, I want to actually mention this to you because I talked about this. I mentioned in the Orchas Sadikim, but I was walking home with a very choshev bocha last night, and I said something to him. For whatever reason, I was discussing something, and I mentioned a name, and he said to me, I wasn't a guy in yeshiva. I mentioned a name, and he says to me, "Oh, that guy, he's a liar. I wouldn't even trust him when he was telling the truth." No. And it hit me, and like boom. That's exactly what we said yesterday. And the Orchas Sadikim says this: when you become a liar, and people know you as a liar, you're not a truthful person. Even when you're saying the truth, they're not going to believe you. And that's a very, very harsh thing. Because, what's that? That's it, the boy who cried wolf. That's exactly what we said. Very good, you're Machavan. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on also to some other Mamori Chazal about lying and about Sheker. Okay, and about Emes. Okay, there's a Gemara in Sanhedrin. And the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Sadi Beis Samad Aleph, tells us, okay, let me translate. If a person is machlif means to switch. If you change your words, and the pastors, the Achronim say it means you're lying, you don't say the Emes. Ki'ilu, it's as if over the you're serving idols. Now I was thinking about it. What is the connection between lying, changing your words, and worshipping above the Zorah? Like, I understand there are many times we find that if you do this, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing in the world. You're and you get avoided. It's terrible things. You have all these things. I understand. Certain of them I understand, right? When you embarrass someone, you're killing him. We've spoken about that by embarrassing him. But I want to discuss it over here. What does it mean? And a thought just came to me now. What does it mean that if you change your words, meaning you lie, that you're over the avodah? So I want to say maybe, and this is my own thoughts, I didn't see this anywhere. Maybe it means like this. Often, a person will lie to get his way, or to get what he wants. That's why a person lies. You lie because I want to get something, I don't want someone to know something. There are many reasons, ulterior motives, why we lie, and often it's mostly for our benefit. If we really believed that the Rabbeinu Shalom runs the world, and the Rabbeinu Shalom is running the world every moment, everything about our lives is ruled by the Rabbeinu Shalom. We live b'hashgacha pratis. Everything happens because of Hashem. We were brought into the world because of Hashem. We're brought into our families, our parents, our atmosphere, our teachers, our school, our rebbeim, our yeshivas, our marriage. Whatever it is, everything comes from Hashem. Why would you ever change your words? Why would you ever lie? Everything comes from Hashem. I have to say the truth. But if you're lying, you obviously believe in that there's a way out. I can run it. I could do it. I could change my words. I can get what I want. I can change the truth in order to get what I need. That's like your avodah zarah, because you don't really believe in Hashem. I think that's maybe the pshat. Again, I didn't see it anywhere, but I think that maybe sounds correct. Because if a person is machav dibura against a very stark haloshen, Sanhedrin Sadi Beis Samad Aleph, you machav dibura ki'ilu oived avodah zarah. How many times do we lie during the day? Let's go through our day. Maybe tonight, an exercise should be, before you close your eyes, after you say Kriya Shema Mitzvah and you thank the Rabbeinu Shalom for giving you a wonderful day and giving you the ability to breathe and the ability to see, the ability to hear, and everything that the Rabbeinu Shalom has given you in your opportunities in your life, and you say thank you to the Rabbeinu Shalom. After you've done all that, on the regular night you do that anyway, but after that, think about how many times you lied during your day. Small things. It could be small little things, okay? It could be small things that someone asks you, oh, did you do that? Yeah, I did it. I didn't do it, but I wanted to do it. I thought about doing it, you know what I mean? We lie even without realizing it sometimes, right? The Gemara says, if we don't sort of highlight something, we don't even realize it. Sometimes we don't realize the potency of our lying, we don't even realize that we lie. There's another Gemara base, the Gemara in Shabbos Kufri Tesama base. The Gemara in Shabbos Kufri Tesama base tells us, you know this Chazal? Chazal tell us, I mentioned this yesterday also, by the way. Again, Shabbos Kufya Tesla base. The reason that Yerushalayim was destroyed, and whenever it says Yerushalayim, it means the Beis Hamikdash and everything that goes together with it, was because Anshe Amona stopped being. Anshe Amona are trustworthy people. We don't have trustworthy people, people that are of impeccable quality, right, and background, and we don't have these people anymore. Chazal tell us this, and therefore, because of that, Yerushalayim was in fact destroyed. So we can see the ramifications of lying. The ramifications of not telling the truth are very far-reaching, and it's important for us to realize that, because in our own dealings, this is something that we have to work in. Ben Adam Chaver teaches us when we learn with other people, when we teach with other people, when we interact with other people, it has to be done in a truthful manner, right? It's another thing, by the way, people think that like when you do kiruv, so you can lie. Yeah, you're allowed to do that. You know what I mean? It's a big problem. We don't have to, and this is the biggest story Rabbi say. I'll give you an example. I once they asked me to write the halachas for a Haggadah, which they were printing in a certain place in English. They're writing Haggadah with Divrei Torah, and they asked me, could you please write the halachas that go with, because in Haggadah there's the halacha, pick this up and cover this and do this and lean and all the halachas. So they were getting the Divrei Torah together. They asked me to put together the halachas. I put together the halachas, a wonderful publication. And the guy who wrote it, at the end, when it was finished or when it was published after Pesach, he sent me one particular, ha'ora, one of the comments from one of the people who got it, who I just didn't like one of the things that I wrote, right? It was halachically correct, whatever. He didn't like the way, or so, you should have written it like this, it makes it more easy. And so I said, listen here, Yiddishkeit doesn't need to be sold. That's not what we're here to do. Yiddishkeit is beautiful the way it is. Yiddishkeit is gewaldig. There are many people that don't appreciate it, and we have to try and help them. And it's our job and our achrayas to try and bring them in with warmth, with love, with geschmack. But it's automatically geschmack. We don't need to change Yiddishkeit to make it more geschmack to people. We don't need to sell it. It's not something that we have to sell to people. It is be'etzem geschmack. Maybe they were never revealed to it, they never saw it, they never realized it, so we have to open up their eyes and show them what Torah is. But we don't have to do anything with that. That's why by kiruv, you don't have to lie. It is what it is. Yiddishkeit is gewaldig. And if it's asa, so I'm really sorry, but it's asa. I can't help you. Yes, there are certain times that we're allowed to do and be more makel when we're dealing with kiruv, because, okay, we can use another shita because to be more makel. That I hear. But we don't change Yiddishkeit, try and sell it to people to get them to come and join Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is gewaldig the way it is. Just agav. There's a Modika Rambam, Rabbi say. Listen to this. The Rambam says, in Hilchos Shavuos, the Rambam says, be very careful not to teach your children sheker. In other words, when you're doing chinuch, Mitzvah Hashem, all of you Be'ez Hashem, Siyat Shema at the right time, Be'itu B'Zmanoi, and it should be easy for every one of you, will have children. And when you have children, you're going to have a very hard job in the generation that you're living. I'm really sorry. That's just the Metzias. We're living in a generation where it's not the easiest to bring up children, but that's what the Rebbe wants from us. And that's the test that we have. Okay? You're going to mechanech your children. What is the definition of chinuch? The definition of chinuch is to train them so that when they're older, they'll do it on their own. You don't want your child holding your hand the whole time for the rest of his life. That's not good chinuch. Okay? Good chinuch is to be able, at his younger years, to show him, give him the appreciation, teach him what Yiddishkeit, what life is all about, so that when he gets to the age where he's able to do it on his own, he goes and does it on his own. Says the Rambam, and by the way, any of you that have learned Masechta Sukkah probably remember this from the beginning of Masechta Sukkah, the beginning of the first parak, where it talks about Dalet Minim, whatever. Don't be mechanech your child, says the Rambam, b'sheker. One example, by the way, is, right? One example is, don't give your child a lemon and a broomstick and say, here you go, Dalet Minim. That's not right. It's not chinuch. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get him the most expensive, or maybe even a kosher set. Could be if he's too young, you can get him a non-kosher set. He doesn't know. But that's not, chinuch means to give him the right thing. Famous Maisa. I'm sure everybody here knows the Maisa, but I love saying this Maisa. It's a beautiful story. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Hagoyin HaGodol Hagoyin, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky Zatzal, was one of the Gedolim in America, and he was known for his Emes, Titin Emes Li'Yaakov. Yeah? He walked into a cheder for young kids, young little kids, for cheder. And he stopped by the mezuzah to put his hand by the mezuzah. Put his hand there, couldn't feel anything. Oh, it's so cute. They put it all the way down. because they wanted the kids, who were young little kids, right, to be able to walk past and touch them, kiss them as well. They were trying to train them to kiss them as well, so they couldn't put too high. So Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky stopped, he smiled, said, that's very cute, but please put it at the regular height. But what do you mean, the kids are not going to be able to? But that's not chinuch. Chinuch is at the right. If they can't touch it now, they'll know. When they get older, they'll be able to touch it. They'll see the adults touching it. They'll see the Rabbonim touching it. They'll be okay. Famous Meister, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, now, when he was old, he didn't eat gebrochts. Now, not eating gebrochts, one second, not eating gebrochts is a very Hasidic minhag of not eating bread, matzah that's been soaked. Right? For example, they won't put matzah in soup. They won't fry schnitzel with matzah because they don't want to have it in any contact with liquid. Okay? I'm not going into the sugar now, maybe at a different time. But Akaponim, it's a general Hasidic minhag, right? Bein? It's a Hasidic minhag. So they asked Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Rebbe, why do you do this? Why do you do this? You're not Hasidic. You're a Litvish. You have that big frak there with the 2 buttons. Come on, you're a Litvish. What are you doing a Hasidic minhag? So listen to what he said. You know what he said? He said many years ago, I don't know, it was 30, 40, whatever it was, a number of years ago, he was staying by somebody's house and it was on Pesach. And he was embarrassed to tell the person that he doesn't want to eat from their hechsha. Because that's embarrassing. You don't want to upset them. Ben Adam Chaver is also as choshev. Embarrassing someone is more chomo maybe than many of the Yisurim of Pesach as well. So therefore, he didn't want to do that. So you know what he told them? He did a great thing. He said, I don't eat gebrachts. And then they said, I don't eat gebrachts. Okay, fine, no problem. Now, he was able to say that wasn't a lie. Because from that moment onwards, for the rest of his life, he never ate gebrachts. Because he said that. Okay? There's a Maisa, I think it was with the Chofetz Chaim, the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, where the Chofetz Chaim put on Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin when he became older. I think it was Rabbi Chofetz Chaim. This could have been actually also Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, by the way. So if I'm getting the name wrong, you'll forgive me. But one of the tzaddikim, so he wore Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin. And they said, Rebbe, why are you putting on Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin? Again, that's generally a Hasidic minhag that you wear Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin. The Litvish Olim don't do it. You're Litvish. Why are you doing it? So he said like this. Again, listen to this. This is the sensitivity of your words. He said like this. He said when he was younger, somebody said to him, Rebbe, you don't wear Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin. So he laughed at the guy. He's like, oh, when I get 60, I'll put on Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin. As if like, just get out of there, like leave me alone, whatever. In a nice way, obviously. So he said, the moment I got 60, that my 60th birthday, I put a Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin. Because I told him when I'm going to be 60, I'm going to put a Rabbeinu Tam Tfinin. Now most of us are like, oh, come on, it was a joke. That's not the point. He said it, he did it. I'll give you another example, okay? We'll move on. I heard this story, sounds a bit far, but it's actually not. I heard this story from the person that heard it from the Chofetz Chaim's granddaughter, okay? Happened to the Chofetz Chaim's daughter. True story. Story goes like this. The Chofetz Chaim, as we know, sold Sfarim. He sold his Sefer Mishnah Berurah. He sold his Sefer Shmir Saloshin, Chofetz Chaim, on the halachos of Lashon Hora. And he was very, very makpid. He was very makpid to make sure that when he sold every sefer, that every sefer was complete. Meaning that he checked every sefer to make sure that, sometimes the pages are stuck together, or sometimes, at least in the olden days, there was like a page that was missing because the printing press skipped over it, whatever it could be. Right? These things happen sometimes, right? So the Chofetz Chaim, with no time in the world, managed to check every single sefer that he sold before he sold it to make sure that it was 100% complete, because Chas v'Shalom, you should take money from someone without selling a complete sefer. So he used to do that. Wonderful. One day, he asked his child, my dear daughter, would you like to help me please check some Sfarim? So his daughter says, sure, Tati, no problem. I'm just going out to play right now with my friends in the park. I'll come back and I'll do it. So he says, no, I'd really like you to do it now. I need to get them off. I need to start, moving, whatever. So would you mind doing it now? And she's like, no, Tati, I'll do it soon. Like, whatever. My friends are going out to the park. I really want to play with them. I'll come back. I'll do it then. He asked one more time. He said, listen, my dear daughter, I'd really, really like you to I'd like you really much. Please, help me out now. She says, Tati, when I come back, I'll do 100 Sfarim. She went out to the park. She came back. There were 100 Sfarim waiting on the desk for her to be checked. And it wasn't a joke. Her father wasn't punishing her. She said something. Her father said, okay, you said something, so here's 100 Sfarim. It was like, that's what you talk, you do. Okay? Again, we laugh because you think, it's such a joke, it's cute. But when your actual real words are reality, then you have to keep that which you do. The Pasuk tells us by the Sug of Nedarim, that whatever you do, whatever comes out of your mouth, you should do. They ask a kasha, how tzaddikim are able to do amazing things. You ever went to a gadol, and a gadol gives a bracha, and it works? And you're like, wow, how does he do that? He has protection with Hashem? How does he do that? How does Reb Chaim Kanievsky give someone a bracha who hasn't had kids for 10 years, and boom, they have a child? Wow, what does that mean? How does that work? Gedolim, tzaddikim from all generations had the schus of having the ability of the koyach of bracha to be able to give people brachas, and it worked. What's pshat? Everyone protects you, or because they're bigger tzaddiks, so therefore Hashem listens to them. How does it work? Yeah. So I once saw a beautiful answer, and the thing that answers tied to what we're saying, and that is, since every word that these gedolim, these tzaddikim say is emes, it's true, so the Rebbeinu Shalom listens to everything that they say, because they have that koyach of a clean mouth. The Chofetz Chaim famously brings a mashal that if you take a guitar that's missing 2 strings, so it's got 2 strings left, the music it's going to play isn't that good. The same thing is if you take a rusty knife, a knife that's been left around and it's rusty, it's old, you try to slice and cube an onion, it's just not going to work so well. It might work, but it's schwach. So the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, our mouths are the most beautiful instrument in the world. They play the most beautiful music, the most beautiful tefillahs, the most beautiful Torah, chesed, chizuk. We can do so much with our mouths. But if we use it for the wrong way, by saying sheker, or by cursing, or by saying things that we shouldn't be saying, so what happens ultimately is we're blunting the knife, we're rusting the knife, we're ruining the utensil by cutting off the strings of the guitar. And therefore, when we come to daven, and we ask the Rebbeinu Shalom for what we want, and then we wonder, God, why don't you give me what I want? I daven every day. Come on. Where's God? He's not answering me. The answer is because the instrument that you're using isn't so sharp, isn't so good, because you've used it for sheker, you've used it for other things. And that's why it's very important for a person to watch what goes on in his mouth. Again, we're not talking about now, but of course we're including curses and other things that are not appropriate, but right now we're discussing in the sugya of Emes, and it's so important. I want to just end with one last thing, by the way. Have you ever noticed how the aleph base works? It's an amazing thing. Emes and sheker. Listen carefully. Emes is aleph, mem, tov. It's the beginning, it's the middle, and it's the end of the aleph base. If you go to sheker, it's shin, kuf, reish. It's all crunched together. When something is emes, it will always be found throughout the aleph base. If something is sheker, so then it's only going to be in one little place. One last thing, and then we'll do your... If you look at the letters of the aleph base, and you look at the letters of emes, aleph, mem, tov. Each of them, aleph, mem, and tov, had 2 legs to stand on. If you look at the letters of sheker, shin, kuf, and reish,